Book 2, Chapter 4 of Amadis of Gaul. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ted Garvin. Amadis of Gaul by Vasco de Lobeira. Translated by Robert Southey. Book 2, Chapter 4. How Gandalin and Durin followed the track of Amadis, carrying his arms which he had left, and how they found him, and how he did battle with a knight and conquered him. Gandalin and his companions remained by the chapel, looking after Amadis as he rode so fast away. Then Gandalin, who was passionately weeping, cried out, I will follow and carry his arms to him, although he hath forbidden me. And I, quoth Durin, will bear you company for this night. So they left Ysanjo, and getting to horse, rode after him, coasting here and there about the wood, till fortune brought them so near the place where he was lying, that his horse scented theirs, and began to neigh. Then they knew that he was near, and Gandalin alighted, and went quietly through the shrubs till he saw his master sleeping by the fountain. The squire then took his horse and led it where he had left Durin, and taking off the bridles from all the horses that they might browse the green boughs, they remained still. It was not long before Amadis awoke, for his sleep was restless. He rose, and looked round. The moon was almost down, but it was yet some time till day. Then he lay down again, and broke out into pitiful lamentations for his evil fortune. The two squires heard all he said, and were greatly moved thereat, yet durst they not appear before him. Presently there came up a knight singing along the way, and, when he was near the place where Amadis lay, he exclaimed, Love, love, I thank thee for exalting me above all other knights. Give me good first, and better afterwards. You made me affect the fair Queen Sardamira, thinking to secure her heart by the honour which I should bear away from this land. And now, for my greater happiness, you make me love the daughter of the greatest king in the world, the fair Oriana, who hath no peer on earth. You make me love her, and you give me strength to serve her. Saying this, he drew from the wayside to a great tree, whereunder he meant to wait for daybreak. Then said Gandalin to his comrade, Stay here while I go see what Amadis will do. He went towards the fountain, but Amadis had risen, and was seeking his horse, and seeing Gandalin dimly in the night, he cried out, Who goes there? Tell me, I beseech thee. Gandalin, sir, who is going to bring you your horse? Who bade thee follow me against my command? You have displeased me. Give me my horse, and go thy way, and tarry not here, unless thou wouldst have me slay thee and myself. Sir, cried Gandalin, for God's sake no more of this. Did you hear the foolish words of a knight hard by? And this he said to make him angry, that he might forget his displeasure for a while. Amadis answered, I heard him, and therefore want my horse to depart. How? Is this all you will do? What wouldst thou more? That you should fight with him, and make him know his folly? Fool that thou art! I have neither heart, nor strength, nor spirit, having lost all in losing her from whom all came. She gave me courage, and hath taken it away. The most caitiff knight in Great Britain might slay me now. Sir, said Gandalin, for God's sake speak lower, that Durin may not hear this, for he has heard all that the knight said. What, is Durin here? We came together. I think he tarries to see what you will do, that you may report it to her who sent him. I am vexed at what you tell me, quoth Amadis, but his spirit arose, knowing that Durin was there, and he said, Give me my horse then, and guide me to the knight. He mounted and took his arms, and Gandalin led him where the knight sate under a tree, holding his horse by the bridle. You, sir knight, quoth Amadis, who are enjoying yourself, rise, and let us see if you can maintain the love of which you boast. The knight arose, and cried, Who are you who question me? You shall see how I maintain it, if you dare do battle with me, for I will strike terror into thee, and all who are scorned by love. I am one of those, quoth Amadis, love hath foully requited me. I tell thee this, sir lover, where I have found one truth in him, I have found 7 lies. Come and maintain his justice. Let us see if he has gained more in you than he has lost in me. And as he spake these words, his anger kindled, feeling how unjustly his lady had abandoned him. The knight mounted and took his arms, and said, You, knight, whom love has justly forsaken, because you were not worthy to serve him, get you gone. I am offended even at the sight of you. and he would have rode away, but Amadis cried out, What, knight, do you defend your love only with words, and ride off like a coward? How, quoth he, I was leaving thee for contempt, and thou callest it fear. Thou art very desirous of thy own hurt. Defend thyself now if thou canst. They ran against each other, and both shields were pierced, but the knight was thrown down. He kept the reins, and mounted again lightly. Quoth Amadis, If you do not defend love better with the sword than with the lance, you will be a bad champion. The knight made no reply, but struck at him with great fury. The sword fell on the rim of the shield, and entered in aslant, and he could not pluck it out. Amadis stood in his stirrups, and gave him a blow on his head, and cut away the trappings of his helmet and the skin of his head, and the sword held on, and came upon the neck of the horse, so that he fell dead, and the rider senseless. Amadis waited a minute, thinking that he had slain him. Then seeing him recover, he said, Knight, what love has gained in you, and you in him, you may both enjoy. I leave you. So departing from him, he called Gandalin, and seeing Durin there, he said to him, Friend Durin, my sorrow hath no equal, and my grief and recollections are intolerable. It is better that I should die. Pray God it may be soon. Go, with good fortune. Salute for me Mabilia, my good cousin, and the damsel of Denmark, thy sister, and tell them, if they grieve for me, that I perish more undeservedly than ever knight perished, and tell them that I sorely regret that those who have loved me so much, and done so much for me, have never had their guerdon. Durin stood weeping before him, and could make no reply. Amadis embraced him, and commended him to God, and kissed the skirts of his armour, and departed. By this it was daybreak. Amadis said to Gandalin, If you choose to go with me, attempt not to disturb me in whatever I say or do. If you will not obey this, go back. He promised obedience. Then Amadis gave him his arms, and bade him pluck the sword from the shield and give it to the knight, and so they rode on. Chapter 5. Showing who the knight was whom Amadis conquered, and what had befallen him before he was conquered. This wounded knight was Patin, brother to Don Sidon, who was then Emperor of Rome. He was the best knight in all those lands, and therefore greatly feared throughout the empire. The emperor was very old, and had no son, therefore all thought his brother should succeed him. He loved Sardamira, queen of Sardinia, who was a fair and comely damsel, and being niece to the empress had been brought up in the court. And he had so far profited by his service, that she had promised him, if ever she married, to marry him. El Patin upon this grew more presumptuous, though his natural arrogance was enough, and he said to her, I have heard that King Lisuarte hath a daughter who is renowned over all the world for her beauty. I will go to his court, and say she is not so fair as you, and this I will maintain against the two best knights who dare undertake her cause. They say there are knights there of great worth in arms, but if I do not conquer them in one day, I will that King Lisuarte do cause my head to be cut off. The queen answered him, Do not do this, for if that princess be fair, it impaireth not the beauty which God hath bestowed upon me, if beauty there be, and methinks you might with more reason and less pride prove your prowess in some other cause, for this enterprise is not becoming a man of so high a rank, and moreover it is unreasonable and arrogant, and you cannot expect it to come to a good end. Come what will, quoth he, I will do it, to prove that you, who are the fairest lady in the world, have the best knight for your servant. So he took his leave, and with rich arms and 10 squires passed over into Great Britain, and went directly to where King Lisuarte was, who seeing him so accompanied thought him to be some great personage, and courteously welcomed him. When he was disarmed, all that saw his great stature judged him to be of great courage. Lisuarte then asked him who he was. He answered, King, I will tell you, for I do not come to your house to conceal myself, but to make myself known. Know then that I am El Patin, brother to the Emperor of Rome, and so soon as I see the queen and your daughter Oriana, you shall know the cause of my coming. When the king heard that he was a man of so high rank, he embraced him and said, Good friend, much are we pleased with your coming, and you shall see the queen and her daughter, and all others of my house, when it pleaseth you. Then he placed him at his own table, and they were feasted in a manner befitting the table of such a personage. El Patin looked around him, and when he saw so many knights he was astonished, and began to hold the household of his brother, the emperor, as nothing. Don Grumedan took him to his lodging, by the king's command, and did him much honour. The next day after mass, the king took with him El Patin and Don Grumedan, and went to the queen, who received him honourably, and made him sit before her and near her daughter. Now Oriana's beauty was much impaired by reason of her great trouble of mind, yet when El Patin saw her he marvelled greatly, and thought that they who praised her had not mentioned half her beauty, and his heart was entirely changed from the purpose with which he had come, and wholly bent to obtain her. Wherefore, calling to mind his own high birth and great qualities, and moreover that he should one day possess the empire, he thought that if he demanded her in marriage she would not be refused him. So taking the king and queen apart, he said, I come hither to request the marriage of your daughter, for your worth and for her beauty. If I sought others of her rank, I could obtain them, seeing what I am, and what I expect to be. The king answered, We thank you much for what you say, but the queen and I have promised our daughter not to give her in marriage against her consent. We must talk with her before we can answer you. This the king said that he might not offend him, but in his mind he was resolved not to give her to him, or to any other who would carry her out of the land which she was to inherit. El Patin was satisfied with this, and waited 5 days, expecting a favourable answer. But the king and queen, thinking it folly, had said nothing to Oriana. Then El Patin asked the king how the business went on. He answered, I do what I can, but it is necessary that you should speak to my daughter, and request her to obey my commands. El Patin went to the princess, and said, Lady Oriana, I wish to ask a thing of you which will be much to your honour and profit. What thing is that? Quoth she. That you will do the will of your father. She, knowing not for what reason he spake, replied, That shall I right willingly, being sure it will be as you say. Then Patin was full joyful, thinking he had won her, and said, I will go through this land, seeking adventures. Before long you will hear such things of me, as will make you with more reason grant what I require. And this also he said to the king, telling him that he would see the wonders of his land. The king replied, You have it in you to do this, yet would I dissuade you, for in this land you will find many great and perilous adventures, and many strong and hardy knights, practised in arms. I like this, quoth El Patin. If they are strong and hardy, I am neither weak nor faint, as my deeds shall show. So he departed, right joyfully at Oriana's answer, and for this joy he was singing as you have heard, when his ill fortune led him where Amadis was making moan, and this is the reason why that knight came from so far a land. Durin departed from Amadis when it was clear daylight, and he passed by El Patin, who had taken off the piece of his helmet that was left, and had his face and neck all bloody. He seeing Durin, said to him, Good child, so may God make you a good man as you tell me, if there be any place near where I may have remedy for my wound. Yes, quoth he, but all there are so inflicted that they will hardly attend to you. For what cause? For the loss of a good knight, who hath won that lordship, and seen the likenesses and secrets of Apolidon, which none other could ever do, and he has departed in such sorrow that nothing but his death is looked for. Methinks you speak of the Firm Island. I do. What, hath it found a master? Certes, I am heartily sorry, for I was going there myself to prove the adventure and win the island. Durin laughed and answered, Truly, sir knight, if there be no more prowess in you than you have just now manifested, you would have gained little honour. El Patin raised himself as well as he could, and tried to catch his bridle, but Durin turned aside. Tell me, said he, what knight is he that hath won the Firm Island? Tell me first who you are. I am El Patin, brother to the Emperor of Rome. God a mercy, quoth Durin, your birth is better than your prowess or your courtesy. Know that the knight you ask about is the same who hath just now left you. By what you have seen you may judge that he is worthy of what he hath won. So he went his way, and took the straight road to London, greatly desirous to tell Oriana all that he had seen of Amadis. End of chapter 5.